hard. Okay. Okay. Before we get ready to move on to the next step in our writing of our essay, I want to review some of the things that we've already done. Okay? Remember, you received your text set. What was the very first thing that you did? Kale?
Went to the directions page.
Went to the directions page. And so what did you do on the directions page, Luke?
And our thesis, temporary thesis.
Okay, so you determined the purpose and the focus, and you wrote a temporary thesis right there. Okay, Arav?
And then you also find what the text structure is.
You're looking to see if there is a text structure to the prompt. Okay, and what did we find was the text structure to this prompt, Isabel?
Informational.
Okay, that's not the text structure, that's the type of essay. That's important to know, but that's not the text structure. Anna? Cause and effect, because the question itself said, how are people's lives affected by volcanoes? And that's cause and effect, okay? That's cause and effect. All right, then what did you do? After you determined the purpose and the focus, after you identified the text structure, what did you do next?
We started to read.
You started to read. And what did we talk about? Remember we made a connection to what we've been doing in Reader's Workshop? We said in Reader's Workshop, when we were doing our research on our weather, we broke the topic up into what? What did we? Subtopics. So when we were reading our text set, and look down at your text set, you've got it in front of you, you should have been writing in the white space. And the words you wrote in the white space should have been subtopics of somebody's life. So what were some of the words that you wrote in the white space, Lily?
School and home.
School, home,
Evacuation.
evacuating,
Like tourist attractions.
tourism, okay,
Property.
property. Okay, so you were thinking about people's life. You were thinking about their health and safety. You were thinking about what would happen to their property lost. Okay, so if you do a really good job of this, Luke, when you go back and you're starting to plan, which is our next step, you're going to have what I like to call breadcrumbs that you've left behind for yourself to follow. And if you were really good about identifying subtopics, all you have to do is skim down in the white space on the outside and look for the same subtopic. The subtopics that go together, and you know right where your evidence is going to come from. This should speed up the process. If you follow those steps, it will speed up the process and it will make the planning much better. Okay, Rossi, tell me what your thesis is.
My thesis is, this is how volcanoes affect people's lives.
Okay, I'm not sure if that is the best thesis. This is how, okay, that this is how part kind of takes some of the power out. Read me the sentence without this is how.
Volcanoes affect people's lives.
Can you see the difference? Huge, right? So let's go ahead. I'm going to write it on here. Now, this is not the only way that we can write this. You could also write people's lives are affected by volcanoes. Okay, anybody have a different one?
Volcanoes can cause destruction in many ways.
Okay, so that is a good sentence. However, that's more of a main idea sentence than it is a thesis. Did it say to explain how volcanoes cause destruction? No. Okay? Now, and guys, I want you to think about it this way. The person who is going to score your essay, not me, but the person who's going to score your essay is going to spend less than 2 minutes reading it. I take much longer. Okay? You don't want there to be any doubt in their mind that you understood the focus and the purpose. Okay? So make sure you keep your thesis statement as close to the prompt as you can. All right? As close to the prompt as you can. Did you have a question? Okay, give me a different thesis.
Those lives are affected by volcanoes.
Okay, and I was saying that when I wrote this on the board, but definitely where you flip it around, people's lives are affected by volcanoes. Anybody else have something different? Sohan?
Okay, people's lives can be
changed by volcanoes.
Okay, that is good, but you really, and again, you want to use that language because it is what kind of a text structure? No text structure?
I forgot.
Cause and
Effect.
there you go. So you want to use that precise language. Remember when we looked at the rubric yesterday and we were noticing that it said precise language? That's one of the things that they're talking about. Okay, so we want to make sure we're using that language. I know you want to be creative. I know you want to say it in a different way, but try to keep that pretty close. Okay, is everybody set and understand what thesis, about the thesis, okay, and why we want to keep it really close to the prompt. Okay, so let's move on and talk about main idea sentences. I was walking around yesterday looking at some of your main idea sentences, some of which were not sentences, some of which had overlapping main ideas. So I really think it's important for us to go over this together, okay? Brooke, can you give me one of your main idea sentences from your plan? You haven't started planning yet? Where's your yellow sheet for your plan? Okay, so that's really an important thing that we need to take care of today because yesterday, if you remember when we were working, I said you need to have your entire essay planned, and you didn't follow those directions. So make sure that you, on your way back to your seat after this mini lesson, you're going to grab a planning sheet so that you can get going on your plan. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Carly, give me one of your main idea sentences.
Daily lives are affected by volcanoes.
Okay. Daily lives are affected by volcanoes. Now, one of the things we pointed out yesterday when we did our self-reflection was that sometimes we can become very repetitive. Okay, I know we're trying to use the cause and effect. Okay, that's going to be inside the body paragraph. So we want to make sure that we don't get too repetitive with our main idea sentences. And just like Isabel played with two different ways of saying this, okay, we can also say this same thing in a different way. Say, can somebody give me an example of that? Yes.
Volcanoes can affect the daily lives of people.
Okay, can affect the daily lives of people. Can we try to say it without using the word affect or affected? Luke, you want to try?
Volcanoes can.
I love the way I can see you're reaching for that precise language that we just talked about. Evan.
Volcanoes can change people's daily schedule.
Okay, so would you consider that like a disruption? Right? Something that disrupts or causes a problem with your daily schedule, definitely. And that's a way to say it without using the word affected. Pardon?
Volcanoes can change people's daily lives.
Okay, they can change people's daily lives. Anybody else? What if we just change this to disrupted? Who knows what disrupted means? We have this, remember? Remember when we did rupt? Who remembers what that word means, rupt? Lily, do you remember?
Like messed up or
Well, yes, that's what the word means, but who says what is rupt?
broken.
Broken. Okay, so daily lives are disrupted by volcanoes. Volcanoes disrupt daily lives. What are some of the things that you would talk about? Thinking about the text set that you read, what are some of the bullets that you would include to support this main idea? What are some of the daily life activities that are disrupted by volcanoes? Brooke, give me one. School, right? We read in the text set that sometimes schools are closed. Sometimes students have to be sent to another school. Okay, so that's a daily life thing for some people. Shopping. Okay, maybe you can't get to the store you normally would get to, or maybe that store can't get the supplies it needs in order to sell. Okay, work. Okay, maybe the roads are blocked, or or maybe a business is too close to the lava. Lily?
Traveling. Like if you are like you have a plan to travel to somewhere and then
Was that in the text? Okay, so try to stay to the text, okay? It's hard. I know you're kind of reaching. We're going to reach an end to the things that we can use. Yes?
Evacuation, like when you're going to do
Miss Chasen,
Yes.
could you send Alana to the front office, please?
She's on her way.
Thank you.
evacuation, like when you're going to do something and it gets disrupted.
Okay, so you have to leave. Okay, so you might not be planning, sort of like when we have a hurricane, right? When we have a hurricane, we don't really technically always plan that we're going to be having to pack up and leave town. Okay, all right, let's move on to another main idea. So we have the idea that daily lives are disrupted by volcanoes. Think about what we did. We kind of shifted away from this affected. We're going to use that language in the body paragraph, but for the main idea, we're going to kind of eliminate it. Give me another one. Okay. She said volcanoes can disrupt the safety of people. I'm not sure that those, I know what you're doing. You're using that disrupt again. We don't want to use it again. We don't want to be repetitious, right? We want to kind of move away from that. That's where we're going, guys. We're challenging ourselves not to be repetitious. Let's keep in mind that we're trying to talk about health and safety. So how would you say that? Volcanoes what? Stay with the health and safety topic. Stay with the health and safety topic. Evan? Okay. I think he said volcanoes can change the health of people. That still sounds to me a little bit awkward. So let's see if we can try to practice saying it in your head. Guys, go ahead and turn and talk. See if you can come up with a main idea that has to do with health. Okay, let's come back really quick. Let's come back really quick. Faith, can you give me what you shared with your partner? Say it again. Can do what to people's health? Ruin people's health. Another one?
volcanoes affect people's health and safety.
Okay, that's okay, except you're using this word again that we're going to try to get away from because we don't want to be repetitious.
Volcanoes ruin people's health and safety.
That's what she just said. Okay.
volcanoes change people's health and safety.
Okay, I can see your thinking there, but I think you take some of the power out of the main idea sentence when you use that word because it's not quite precise. Brendan?
Volcanoes can interrupt people's health.
Okay, I see where you're thinking there too, Evie.
Volcanoes can disturb people's health.
Okay, when somebody says there's something bad for your health, what do they call that? Like we know smoking is a health what? What is it? No.
Hazard.
It is a hazard. There are a couple other words we could use.
Issue.
Closer. Oh, same one.
Health problem.
It's a health problem. Okay, so we can say something like volcanoes threaten people's health. Now, there's lots of ways that you can say it. You don't exactly have to say it that way. You can say something like volcanoes are a health risk. They're a health risk. Okay? They talk about why it's risky to live near our volcano. What are some of the things that you would put in your bullets that would be evidence to support this? Think about what you read in the text set. What did you read about? Kartik?
Like people can bring poisonous gases.
The poisonous gases would go here. Anything else? Yes?
People with heart problems that they like take the gas.
Okay, but also too, do they talk about heart problems in there?
I think so. Like breathing.
Yeah, for breathing.
Okay, for breathing
And
too.
COVID-19.
And then I was even thinking about something that Rob shared a few minutes ago, about evacuating, how that disrupts. But I'm wondering if something like that, adding more stress to somebody, stress and worry might also, I don't know if that was in the text set. But remember, you want to stay focused on the things that threaten people's health. Okay, can you see how when I go to write my introduction, I'm going to say, daily lives are disrupted by volcanoes. Volcanoes threaten people's health. Okay, not that repetition we were seeing in our mock FSA essays. Okay, who has another main idea that we haven't talked about yet? Luke?
People's properties can be affected.
Okay, so people's properties can be affected by a volcano, but what are we going to do? We're going to try to say it in a different way. So stop for a second and think. Somebody I haven't called on yet. Connor, are you thinking? What about you, Oscar? Okay, this could be a problem because I want you to think about something. We're in boot camp right now. Okay, we're in boot camp right now. We shouldn't be in the I don't know stage. We should be I've almost got it stage, right? Austin, can you help him out? You don't need to know either, so I guess we'll be meeting with the three of you in a small group today. Okay, Jazzy, want to try?
Visitors to the volcano disturb people's lives.
Okay, you have to stop for a second because we are way over here trying to help Luke perfect his main idea sentence. Luke, would you give it to me again, please?
Volcanoes can affect people's property.
He said volcanoes can affect people's property, but we were trying to say it in a better way. Yes.
Property can be destroyed by volcanoes.
Okay. Okay, so when you think about this, I want you to read them across and notice how we're not being repetitious. We could say this also too. Volcanoes destroy people's property. Right? Volcanoes destroy people's property. Can you see how it's the same? It's the same thing, Austin, except I'm saying it differently. Volcanoes destroy people's property. Or property can be destroyed by volcanoes. Same meaning, different way of saying it. It moves away from being repetitious. Kartik?
I know a bullet that can fit.
Okay, give me a bullet that can fit under it.
Like work, like buildings, like school, and has to be destroyed.
Well, we have to be careful because, yes, what you're saying is correct, but we also want to make sure that we're not repeating things that are over there. What would affect your life? What property would be destroyed for you? Your house, right? Is there parts of that text that talk about homes being destroyed? Yes, so that can go there. Homes being destroyed. What else?
So like you still have this house, but you abandon it, and then you go to another house, and maybe a volcano might come and like break down the house.
Okay, so did you read about that in the text? Okay, so they're talking about lava. They're talking about the lava destroying the property. Okay, so that's the same thing. That's the same thing. Anything else? Yes.
How towns can be destroyed.
Okay. Now, that's an interesting thing because having a whole town can be getting destroyed is definitely property. It's not necessarily, and it is, I guess, technically it is people's property because you own it as a community. Okay. And it would affect your life if that happened. You can also think, Connor, can I thank you for looking at me so I know you're listening. You can also think about how it affects a community. Because if a town is being destroyed, you could be talking about how a volcano is impacting a community, changing a community. What are some of the other words that we used earlier? Disrupting a community, things like that. So you could definitely talk about a community being impacted, okay? And you could talk definitely about the town. What else would come under that? The community being affected. I seem to remember they talked about something called tourism. We have that as a vocabulary word. What is tourism?
It's people are going just to look at.
So people are coming to visit, right? And when lots of people are coming to visit, in this case, they talked about volcanoes erupting, gets lots of people to come to visit. When these people come to visit, they're going to stay in a hotel and spend money for the community. They're going to go out to eat and spend money in restaurants. They're going to go shopping. Okay, all of those things help a community. So if we put anything up here about impacting a community, we want to stay away. Number one, this is not opinion. Okay, but we can talk about ways in which a volcano could impact a community or change a community. The other thing that they talked about that could go underneath here is the section where they discussed how once the lava cools, it actually has created new land that people can build homes on. Okay, so those types of things would go here, impacting communities. Okay, so let's talk about what you're going to do during our work time today. Number one, you are going to go back and look at the plan you have. Everybody should have already planned their essay. So if you did not, you know that you need to get on the ball with that. You're going to grab a yellow sheet from the table on your way back. I want you to look over your essay. Make sure that you've written your thesis statement in a complete sentence and that it includes the key words from the prompt. It should be in a cloud on your plan. I want you to look at your main idea sentences. I want you to make sure of two things. Number one, they are a sentence with a capital letter and a period. Number two, they are not repetitive. You might have to rewrite some of those main idea sentences. So number one, they don't all sound the same. Remember the example I used yesterday? The apple is red, the apple is crunchy, the apple is delicious. Okay? You don't want them all to be the same kind of a sentence. You don't want them to overlap, which means you don't want them to be saying the same thing in a different way. And a good way for testing that is if you need to use, Austin, if you need to use the same piece of evidence in two body paragraphs, you already know that you overlap. And you need to take a look at that. And then when you go to put your bullets on your plan, what should that look like? What should that look like? Faith, what should that look like when you go to put your bullets on your plan? Pardon me? She said they should be full sentences too. Anybody have a different idea? Jackson?
You put what source it is and what paragraph it is.
Okay, so your bullet, Faith, is not in complete sentences. Your bullets are going to look like something like this. Paragraph 3. Paragraph 9. And how many of these should you have? Gail?
2 or 3.
2 to 3. Okay, so let me talk to you again, remind you what you're going to do during our work time. You're going to revise your planning sheet. You need to be ready to go. We are starting to write tomorrow. So your plan must be done. If you finish before our time is up, before we come back for closing meeting, if you finish, then what I'd like you to do is I would like you to take out your, to get a computer, if there are enough left, get a computer, and I would like you to do achieve articles. If you have met your goal for for the week, month. You should have 8. You should have 4 by the end of this week at 75% or higher. If you've met that goal already, then you may get your headphones and you may watch some of the writing videos on my YouTube channel. I'm going to write my last name up here. All you have to do is do a search and you'll get it. Okay, any questions? So first thing, revise, then achieve articles, and then finally, go ahead and you can watch some of the writing videos on the YouTube channel.
Tomorrow, are we gonna get a checklist for writing?
You already do. It should say FSA essay. But I will make sure that we have extra copies. Yes?
If there's like a paragraph, it's sort of like split into like 2 topics. Can we say it's the same paragraph? Just to...
Right, not the same words. Absolutely, good question. Okay, go ahead and follow the flow.